Today, Matt and I are going to be taking a look at a preeminent coming of age tale, Stand By Me. It stars Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, Kiefer Sutherland, and is narrated by Richard Dreyfuss, directed by Rob Reiner. This is a pretty classic movie, came out in 1986. Matt, looking back on it, having rewatched it, what do you think of the movie?
I really liked this movie. I was surprised watching it again. I didn't remember having so many like adult oriented themes in this movie. It's not quite the feel good story that we really had when we reviewed the Sandlot recently. Though I think the Sandlot, having come out of this movie, took a lot of themes and stuff from this movie. But big part too, it's about this group of friends or whatever out on a 2-day journey, like you said, coming of age kind of thing, as they search for the body of this missing kid kind of thing. And that, that's where the heart of the story is the relationships between this group of friends.
Yeah, actually, it's one thing. As I rewatched this, I kind of thought, A, it's been a really long time since I watched it, and B, I don't know that I ever actually watched the full version of this. I think I've only ever seen the TV cuts. So a lot of the things like the kids smoking, either I completely forgot about or I never saw in the first place. Um, which is kind of fun and weird in its own right, because I never really remembered the fact that they uncovered the body and they just show you the face and there's this long shot of the dead body at the end. So yeah, like you said, lots of adult themes in here. It's not like that make you feel good inside kind of film. It is more of these kids going on a journey and the things that happen. It's such a simple premise. I like that you mentioned the 2 day thing, because I sat there thinking during that whole scene. Well, we Will Wheaton's character, he's sitting there and he says, "Well, you tell your mom that you went over here, and I'll tell my parents that I'm going camping here, and like we're set for a good solid, day and a half, 2 days." Um, and I remember kind of like scheming a little bit as a kid, like, well, you know what? If I tell my parents I'm going here, and then we go here, and then do this, um, probably not as smart as we thought we were, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, did that as kids.
Mhm. As kids, they had it all planned out and stuff. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think what I remember probably is like a for TV version. I mean, there's certain parts of this movie I definitely remembered, especially like the train sequence when they're like on the bridge and stuff, and then the train starts coming. That's one that I definitely
Yeah.
remember.
The
And
the thing about that sequence is it still gets the heart pumping. I know how it ends, but I'm like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
it's one of those things like as they're as Gordy is like putting his hand on the rail, like feeling it and stuff, kind of doing the thing like, all right, do I feel any vibrations and stuff? Once they actually get on that bridge, the train is going to be coming too. So especially with Vern, Jerry O'Connell's character, whatever, he's crawling on all fours. Is like, oh my goodness, yep, they're gonna get caught out in the middle when that train starts coming.
This movie's kind of, it's similar to The Sandlot, like you had mentioned, and I think that they probably get compared a lot as like a little bit of a different generational, 1986 versus 1993 when The Sandlot came out. Um, I prefer The Sandlot. I don't think that Stand By Me is aged quite as well as The Sandlot has aged. There's a lot in there that's kind of questionable, even for the fact that it takes place in 1959. But one thing I'll give it is, as much as The Sandlot brought us "You're killing me, Smalls,"
You're killing me, Smalls.
Stand By Me is famous for two for flinching.
Two for flinching.
Boom, boom. So if you've ever heard that, I swear, kids today still do it. Two for flinching, and they don't even know where it came from. It's just a thing. Well, it's from this movie.
I don't shut up. I grow up, and when I look at you, I throw up. That's another one that I kind of heard as like a kid and stuff, where I think a lot of it probably came from this movie. A lot of things I was talking really Sandlot. A lot of the a lot of the different things. Like you have the beast in the Sandlot, and this one you have the dog too that's in the same junkyard kind of thing, and the kids are afraid that the
He
dog's
said
gonna sick them
he
or
said
whatever.
sick him, but what I heard was bite his balls.
Bite his balls, exactly. And that's the thing too. A big part of Sandlot was how the beast was made up to this big thing, and then the kids come to the realization it's not that. And Gordy, the narrator, he actually says that. It's like, that was the first instance where I saw that the stories didn't actually match up with reality. That the dog wasn't even as big of a baddie as what all the stories had been.
Like I said at the very beginning, it's very much a coming of age movie instead of just a feel good movie. Um, this isn't them looking back or him looking back really and saying this is the best summer of my life. This is him looking back on a preeminent point in his life and his, going into junior high the next year life, where he gets to decide whether or not he's going to go out and be more or less a loser for all intents and purposes, which is a smart guy, a smart kid. He ends up being an author. He's the narrator or the writer. The narrator's called the writer, which is Richard Dreyfuss, which is the same character Will Wheaton plays. Not confusing at all, I know. It's a good look back. It's a good look back at in 1986 how we looked at life in 1950s. So I enjoy it for what it is, but I still don't think that it aged as well as some other movies.
It's definitely not as fun to watch as something in the Sandlot. Sandlot really focused more on, like the friendship and stuff. And this is really big too, the friendship, but a lot of it too is talking about like their home lives, their family lives kind of thing. Like these kids are kind of like, I don't want to say like the reject kids, but yeah, they're kind of looked down, River Phoenix's character, Chris, his family's seen as screw ups, and he's, believed to be that he's just gonna be another screw up too. And Will Wheaton's character Gordy, like, he just lost his brother, and he's the invisible kid because his parents are still trying to come to terms with losing their oldest son. Really, Vern is, they don't really talk too much about his family life. The only thing you really know about is that, Vern is looking for his pennies because he had a treasure map, to show where his pennies are. That's his big treasure, his jar of pennies. And his mom threw everything out of his room, including the treasure map. So he no longer has the treasure map. But I was talking about something like the adult themes. I mean, we really talk about, their other friend, Teddy. Teddy seems like he has a real tough family life. His dad, you kind of get from other people that he's in a psychiatric hospital and may suffer from like post-traumatic stress disorder or something like that. Basically, his father put Teddy's head to like a stove and burned his ear. And it's interesting because at one point Teddy's kind of like thinking of his dad as kind of like a war hero, fought on the beaches of Normandy. And the other thing too, it's kind of revealing when Gordy tells the story about, the pie eating contest and stuff, and Teddy didn't like how it ended. Teddy's like, well, did he go home and did he kill his dad kind of thing? So you get to learn about what these kids really think about their parents and stuff. And that's a big part of it. I mean, Gordy's big thing at the end, he's, that was his biggest thing, is that, it should have been him that died and not his brother, and that his dad hates him, kind of thing, because he's not his brother kind of thing. So this, I think, is more of a deeper movie where, the Sandlot, like I said, is definitely more feel-good kind of thing, like looking back at the good times, where this one is like they're looking back on what might have been the most impactful summer of their life.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting the way that it's told, where in Sandlot you can kind of see lots of embellishments, and we didn't mean for this to be a Sandlot versus Stand By Me thing, by the way. It's just kind of turning out that way.
Let's get ready to rumble!
But there's a lot of embellishment where it's like everything was the biggest, everything was the greatest. And in this one, it's meant like he's actually telling the story, and he's telling it very straight. He's not exaggerating a lot. He's just telling it accurate, and you trust that the narrator's telling it accurate in this movie versus, these are the memories of a 10-year-old. No, this is just, nope, this is that story. And this is how that story happened. The one character that we haven't really touched very much on is Kiefer Sutherland, who's kind of like the teenager, the high school gang leader, as it is for this small little town. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, you have this side story with these guys where two of these guys in this old gang, the teenage gang, they know where the dead body is, and then Jerry O'Connell's character, Verns, overhears them talking about it. And that kicks off everything else. That kicks off the whole journey. But Kiefer Sutherland's character is just cruel, Like, he's just a mean teenage bully, basically. Drinking and driving and smoking and getting in trouble and threatening, like physically threatening to, cut people's throats. Little kids' throats, by the way, not just like other teenagers. It's such a weird thing, and I almost felt like it was off. Like, oh, you know what? You could have made this whole movie without that subplot.
Yeah, it is a little different Ace character stuff. The only thing I really see of it, I think it's a good contrast between Ace and like Chris, because Chris's character is kind of seen like, everyone kind of looks at him as kind of the failure, like he stole the milk money kind of thing, and you look at it, Gordy's dad kind of looks at him as kind of like a delinquent too. He's a bad influence. The kid, took his father's gun kind of thing. He's stealing smokes and stuff from his dad, and these kids are, 5th grade or whatever, going into like middle school and stuff. But what I was saying is that they would show scenes that do a big contrast. You would see Chris do something that shows that he cares about his friends. He pushes Teddy out of the way of the train, not letting Teddy basically kill himself, commit suicide. He's there for Gordy, to console Gordy, and he says, maybe I should be your dad. And then you go to a scene with Ace, where Ace does the exact opposite. He doesn't really care about his friends. He, pushes his friends to do bad things that they don't want to do, like smash the mailboxes kind of thing, or puts his friends in harm's way when they're playing chicken with another car, and he's willing to practically drive into a truck head on, for putting his own life and his friend's life in jeopardy, just because he has to keep up that persona of being, the baddest guy. He would rather get hit by a truck and be in a horrible accident than to lose this race of chicken. And though I have to admit, Ace definitely adds a starker
Marty
tone
McFly.
and stuff to it. Yeah, Marty McFly. No one calls me chicken, kind of thing.
Nobody calls me chicken needles. Nobody.
That's how it is. He does feel out of place, but I think it's really just to show you the difference between him and Chris. This movie starts off real somber. Chris dies when his attorney, getting stabbed in a diner. You see it in a newspaper headline, and you find out at the end that what he was doing, he was trying to, stop 2 other people from fighting. He was a bystander kind of thing, trying to break up a fight, and he gets stabbed in the neck and dies. So I think a lot of it was just to show the difference just of, Chris's character, like how different, like how even though he has bad home circumstances or whatever, how he kind of rises above him and is a good person. And Ace is that, wow, real questionable character for sure.
That's a good way of tying those storylines together. I just don't think that the filmmakers did a very good job of like really saying this is what we're trying to do with this. You gotta pull that out of the movie. It doesn't hand it to you, which is fine. Not everything needs to be handed to us on silver platters. I'll tell you what though, one thing about this movie, having watched it just recently, was like someone in the music department was like, hey, watch this. We're just gonna put Stand By Me in the background. Come on, let's play the music. Don't you play the music. Come on, play the music. No. Come on, do it. No.
I tell you, I'd rather watch a movie called Stand By Me, that we know the catchy tune for, than to see a movie called The Body based on a Stephen King novel, for sure.
Yes. And then at this, I just throughout the film, it subtly starts playing in the background like the Stand By Me song, like, but not the lyrics, just the melody. And I'm just like, are they gonna do it this time? Are they gonna do it this time?
I mean, that's really how you capture kind of like maybe like an older time, even though, Stand By Me, it was a sort of older movie. But, that's a good way to get across that feel of a certain time period is by putting music from that time period too. It definitely, adds, kind of, to that feel.
Yeah. So this was a fun movie to take a look back at, and we have lots of other flashback reviews. Make sure to check them out if you're interested in this kind of stuff. We're coming out with new content. We're also in the process of doing a look through of all of the original Star Trek movies. So if you're a big Star Trek fan, make sure to check those out. Give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you always want to see or know when we upload new content. And check out our Facebook page. For now, I'm Randle here in Texas. Everyone have a great day.
And I'm Matt here in Michigan. See you guys.
Next time on No Market Media.
Please consider checking out some of our other videos.